Welcome to part 4 of Animate with a Smartphone, 5 different ways. So far, we've covered staging, software, and visual storytelling. So now we come to 5 different ways to animate. And I hope that those of you starting to animate will find it useful, but also those of you who are experienced animators. Let's start with text. Always include titles and credits in your films. You can, of course, type them in. You can use fridge magnets, which are fun to play with and colourful. Or you can cut up newspaper headlines. But I prefer the hand-drawn look that sets the tone for your stop-motion movie. There are watercolour pens and brushes that you can use. And if you find fluorescent paints, then you can use a black light, which creates some interesting contrast. The key is to light the background evenly so that you will be able to key it out later. That'll enable you to superimpose the titles on your opening sequence. Now, the second animation way, whiteboards and dry white pens. Whiteboards suit animators and cartoonists using classic draw, redraw techniques. Also doodlers and people working from pose to pose. Anyone with a dry white pen can enjoy playing, though I would recommend using reference and drawing a storyboard in advance. In fact, whiteboards are great for storyboards and for turning your storyboard into an animatic. The main drawbacks are backgrounds are tricky and 3D effects are demanding of skill. Marks on the board, use alcohol hand gel to remove them and beware of reflections. Bearing these in mind, you can have a lot of fun exploring walk cycles and classic animation skills such as squash and stretch and anticipation. Thirdly, articulated cutouts, which are great for crafters and fabricators and prop makers. It's particularly suited to walk cycles and flight. If you use black card, there's a fairy tale element to scenes. And the advantages are you can create a vignette with backgrounds and characters can cross the scene, exit and enter. The main disadvantage is that it lacks 3D, so you need to exaggerate perspective and create depth. You can build characters from picture books using just one brad or several brads. And you can connect them using thread, blue tack or tape. And for advanced animators, there's a challenge of lip sync using clay or other media. Now let's look at the fourth way, puppetry. You can speed up your filmmaking by inserting live video shots in your stop-motion animation. Puppetry appeals to model makers and prop makers, as well as puppeteers. Puppetry is a skill which requires focus on the character and an ability to convey mood through movement. It's suited to over-the-shoulder shots, transport, entries and exits. Always choose a variety of shots, close-ups, point-of-view shots, that's a shot that follows the character looking in a particular direction, and cutaways, that's focusing on an object which was partly hidden or out of shot. Black lights and fluorescent inks and paints add to the surprise of puppetry. Its main drawback is the need for skill and dexterity, and removing any strings or supports. And finally, the fifth way, animating with a light box and watercolours. If you don't have a light box, you can easily improvise with a sheet of cellophane and a whiteboard. If you have no flicker lights, that helps a lot. You can use inks, watercolours and water-soluble pens. It's best for colourful effects like sea, skies, smoke, clouds or fire, and the translucent quality and free-flowing nature is fun to play with. You can also add soap to create sudden effects. It's hard to control, and you need to be careful with water and electronics. You can download a PDF with details of all the materials I've used. And that's it. In the final session, I'll cover editing, cleaning up, and film distribution. Please complete a short quiz so I can improve this tutorial before it goes live. Thank you.